Fitness is a weird topic, but it is probably the second largest topic or the largest segment of my life. That's a lie. It is the largest segment of my life right now because fitness is something that I've had to learn throughout the years. It was never taught to me. I never had a coach or a mentor who taught me about physical fitness ever. Nutrition, nothing besides my parents. So let's talk about fitness and my successes and failures in fitness. Welcome to the End Goal Podcast. This is episode 0-4, Fitness, Success, and Failures, because there are a lot of lessons when it comes to trying to get stronger, get bigger, get faster, improve yourself every single day. And the way I learned about fitness might be a little bit unorthodox and I hope not everybody has experiences like this, but it had the most profound impact on my life and my way of thinking as a child, as a juvenile, as a youth, So let's start in freshman year of high school. This is in 2011 when I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease. Crohn's is a digestive health disorder where ulcers develop on your digestive and excretory tracts. And basically, it impedes you from absorbing nutrients through your body. It basically disrupts your whole nutrition body system. It disrupts your entire gut. Entirely. It's not fun. I'm not going to tell you guys what the symptoms were. Just know it was not fun, right? And I know this definitely broke my parents, and I feel very bad for them because no parent should have to go through their child almost getting addicted to something. But I think it's important that I talk about this. So when I was diagnosed with Crohn's, obviously, even before I was diagnosed with Crohn's, when you were trying to figure out what was wrong with my body because of these symptoms that I was having, the issue was that nothing was working, and the only thing that was working were painkillers, cortisone. And when you have a digestive disorder like this, the one thing you never want to do is have it affect when you use the bathroom. And it affected when I used the bathroom. So what would happen is that I would have certain pills to try and take to help reduce the ulcers and the inflammation in my body, and then paired with those pills were cortisone pills, painkillers. I'd have to feel the pain every single time I went to the bathroom, not to pee, the other one. I would leave the bathroom, and there would be a massive throbbing down there because of hemorrhaging and things like that, and tagging and things like that. So I could not sit down for at least an hour to 2 hours after using the bathroom. And it got to the point where we were trying all these different pills, and we kept having to go back to they would take me off the cortisol and just do these pills. And I was like, it hurts. They would put me back on the cortisol. And it got to the point where I was like, I really just want the cortisol pills. That's all that. It's like helping me not feel the pain. It's not helping the issue, just helping me not feel the pain. And I remember the fact that I never told my parents that whenever I would use the bathroom and leave, that I was standing because it was hurting. I would just stand. It's like, no, I've been sitting down a lot. Well, I'm just going to stand a little bit. Because I didn't want to again be upset, them to be sad, them to get worried, whatever it is. I got hit with Crohn's early. And it completely changed the trajectory of my life in many ways. The first way was, obviously, I understood how much, actually I didn't understand how much pain that my parents were going through in terms of, it's very sad to have your child go through pain because you feel the same. You feel pain for your child in a sense, right? I definitely put them through a lot in that sense, not by my choice. It's just, unfortunately, it's what happened to me. And I'm very grateful for them. That was one of the first times when I was really, really grateful for my parents, because growing up, They just naturally gave me things, and I never like stopped to reflect and be grateful, because as a 9, 10, 11 through 14-year-old kid, you don't really know what gratefulness is and reflecting on these things. You don't really understand what that is. You're just living life. You don't really think about the fact that your parents are doing all these things for you. So the first thing was gratefulness. The second thing, what I realized about my body, is that whenever I was going through these Crohn's symptoms, there were like, peak, like good days and bad days. And I was like, okay, I've been good all week. Like, say I had like a week of being good, but then like on the 6th day, it was a bad day. I was like, why is that? Why am I feeling bad? I was feeling good like 5 days before this. And that kept happening. And I started like thinking, I was like, what is going on? And I realized that was my mood. My mood and my outer expression and the way I was thinking was affecting my body. So I played around with that. I was super positive. Because of Crohn's, I started being the term positive mental attitude really ingrained itself in me after getting Crohn's, because I realized that if I have a positive mental attitude, my body feels better, my body feels happier because it knows my brain's happier, and I don't feel as bad, and things don't flare up. But if I'm feeling upset or angry or annoyed or frustrated or any adverse emotions, not negative, but adverse emotions, my body would flare up. So I tried to make sure I was never sad as much as possible, right? Which is really hard to do as a kid, because a lot of things make you sad that are just like, you just can't control the fact that you feel sadness. At school, I would say hi to everybody, smiling, saying hi to all the teachers. And I even had teachers, either I heard them out of earshot, or they actually told me, they're like, yeah, we love like when Arch walks by, because he's always so happy, he's always so cheerful. Like, we just like, I wonder why or whatever. And in my head, I was like, oh yeah, it's because I have a disease inside of my gut, which is what makes me happy. Because if I'm happy, it doesn't flare up. If I'm not happy, it flares up. It's a very twisted thing. But that's where mental fitness started for me. Emotional fitness started for me, was the idea of trying to be happy as much as possible so this stuff doesn't flare up. And then through Crohn's, I realized that, for all 4 years of college, I never changed weight. I was 120 pounds the entire way through. I'm a 5'10" male individual. I was 120 pounds 4 years of high school. Could not gain weight to save my life, partly because of Crohn's. So I tried so many things, right? I was obviously in soccer. I was in tennis. I was trying to be active. Obviously, my parents fed me very good food, very filling food, very healthy food. Nothing was working. And then, so around junior or senior, I was in marching band also. Like, I was doing enough physical things that you'd be like, yo, tone up or get some muscle, do something, but just gain weight. Body wouldn't listen. So I tried working out. I asked our athletic trainer that, hey, in the mornings, can I just come in and use the weights here? Because I couldn't after school. I had other things going on. So I would always do it in the mornings before school. So he said, sure. So I tried like lifting weights, pull-ups, bicep curls, tricep curls, bent over single arm rows. I had my protein shakes on deck. There was one time when I tried to do sprints and drink a protein shake at the same time. And then I went to office hours for my biology teacher, and then I vomited in her trash can. So, it's a learning experience, right? But I tried to be fit. I really, really, really tried to be fit, and it just wasn't working. I couldn't get it to work. I kept feeling like I was failing at it, because literally nothing was working, and I didn't get any lessons out of it. Like, I could not figure out what was going on. I could not eat enough to gain weight. I cannot eat large meals like that. I just don't feel good when I eat large meals, even though I had to. Nothing worked, right? Get into college, and I'm going to spoil a couple of things for you real quick, right? From freshman year to college to the time that I graduated I think my master's, I was 125 pounds. Somehow between high school and college, I was able to gain 5 pounds of something, but that's it. That's all that stayed. In college, I met some friends, and I tried to go like to the gym with them, and we tried like lifting and stuff. I just realized I hated weights, hated weightlifting. And then my brother, BB, you know who you are. He sent me a video of a muscle up, of two guys doing a muscle up together, right? Not like together, but they're like both on the same bar. They're like, anyways. He sent me a video of a muscle up. He said, bro, we got to try this. I said, bro, I'm down. Because that was the coolest physical feat that I've seen up until that point. I had not seen muscle ups, front levers, dragon flags, pistol squats, dragon squats, none of that until then. But I saw the muscle up and I was like, I'm there. I will get this. And this was the winter of my freshman year. So during that winter, and I started training for it. I was like, okay, I need to do L-sits. I basically started, that's how I learned about calisthenics. I learned about L-sits. I learned about pull-ups. And I was already doing pull-ups and push-ups back then. I was already doing dips and things like that just because I had a low body mass. So it wasn't really, my relative strength was pretty good. My absolute strength was not as good. My relative strength, pretty good. I could not get the muscle up though. And I was watching videos online. I was learning as much as I could, and I was trying to do it, and it just wasn't clicking. And I ended up going home for the 2 weeks of like winter break in December, back to my small town. And the neighborhood that I live in lives adjacent to a school, same school I went to for elementary school. So what I would do is I would go to the playground. Obviously, school is out, so it's not like a risk of doing that. I would go to the playground, and on their like bar setup, I would just practice pull-ups and muscle-ups. I would practice running up to it, jumping and trying to get up there. I would practice just like swinging, and I would just practice all kinds of things. And 2 weeks, almost every day, I was going there and just slamming muscle-ups. And I was videoing myself. Actually, this is a lie. I wasn't videoing myself. I just kept doing it until the end of the second week. I got my first muscle up. And then I recorded it. That was the sloppiest shit I've ever done in my life, but I got my muscle up. And here's the lesson, 13 minutes in this video. When you really want something, try not to do it part-time. Like when you really want something and you're trying to achieve something, it requires a lot of time and effort, consistent effort. And sometimes the best way to do it is to give it isolated effort. Isolated effort meaning that is the only thing you're focused on for whatever that period of time is. That is the only thing that you're focused on. No matter what else is going on in your life, that is the thing you're focused on. Isolated effort, in my opinion, is the one thing that most of us don't do. And currently in my life, I'm having a very hard time with isolated effort because there's so many things going on, and my brain keeps wanting to do more things than what I need to be doing, and as a result, the wrong things. Isolated effort, guys. Listen to me. Isolated effort, okay? So, I get my first muscle up. I am a king, bro. I got out of there like, let's go. I was flexing my non-existent muscles at that time, too. I was like, let's go. And that was the first time that I fell in love with calisthenics, because something that I put so much time and effort into, I achieved. And there's more levels after that, but I saw that I can do something with my body finally. And that's when it clicked for me in terms of fitness, that I wanted to sculpt my body the way that I wanted to. My body was a piece of marble, and I had the ability to sculpt it in any way I wanted, but I had control over that. It was also at this time that I'd been going through blood infusions for Crohn's, because one of the only ways to really help with Crohn's is to get an every 8-week blood infusion where they infuse your body with a chemical that's supposed to help bury the Crohn's. Every 8 weeks. I've been doing this every 8 weeks since 2012. For 10 plus years, I've been getting this blood infusion, by the way. I'm in remission. Remission means like the polyp of the Crohn's, like the marking of the Crohn's is buried in my body. It's still there. It's just in remission. It's like dormant almost. But I still have to keep taking this medicine. So this was the first time since getting Crohn's that I felt like I was in actual control of my body. You don't know how much that means to somebody who could not gain weight no matter how much they did, always got picked on for being skinny and bony, who always got picked on for being thin, not lean, thin, who couldn't gain weight no matter how much you tried. It was so liberating. Bro, my eyes are watering up one sec. Anyways, it was so liberating. And I was like, I'm all in on this. And that's how my physical fitness journey started. And there have been many successes and failures through that. Like, not every technique that you try and achieve, you're going to get. And I was definitely trying for the more aesthetic calisthenics vibe, where I was trying to achieve the stricter muscle up, the front lever. I never really tried for a back lever. The dragon flag, when I saw that, the name was, it's called the dragon flag, and it's basically a core technique. Oh, dude, I saw Frank Medrano do that, and I was like, this is going to be my personality for the rest of my life. The pistol squat, like all these different things, like I wanted to do because they were so cool for me to be able to do. I thought I could make myself seem cool to myself by doing these things. And I wasn't 100% in on it. And through that, I just started training for it and everything. I obviously failed. You obviously fail at calisthenics as much as you, because it's a relative strength, right? So the kind of the scary part is if you try and gain weight, your relative strength might falter unless you keep up that strength with it, right? Still not a problem for me because I kept staying the same fucking weight the entire 4 or 5 years. The next lesson that I have for you is basically through my fitness life, and is the lesson of consistency. Consistency is probably the consistency and resilience go hand in hand, because consistency means doing the same thing over a period of time. Resilience means being able to do something for a longer period of time. And the way I view it is resilience being the way to do something over a long period of time through adversity. So being consistent and resilient towards your goals is really what helps you achieve the biggest of goals and the most long-term of goals. And the number one thing about Entro Arish is that he is the most inconsistent motherfucker ever. Okay? Because things just happen. You know what I mean? My entire fitness career has been in one inconsistent mess, because I'll train for something, I'll train for a technique, I'll really blast like all the training for months, and then I'll get one, and then I'll drop it. And then I'll go back to it a month later, like, oh, I remember I got this, let me try it again. Oh, you failed. What were you doing the past month? Oh, I was training for something else. Why weren't you upkeeping this the entire time too? Oh, I didn't feel like it. You bitch. Like, you lost it. What do you mean? So I've been one inconsistent dude all 7 years of me being a calisthenics athlete, up until the point where basically I'm now graduated, right? I'm now 128 pounds consistently. I know, right? Thank you for the claps. The consistency thing has been an issue, and I really want to help you guys focus in on this, right? You need a plan that helps you be consistent. Now, consistency does not mean doing something every single day. It just means doing the same things through a period of time. Which means if you're working on a muscle up, training the muscle up twice, 2, 3, 4, how many ever times you want to do it a week, but for 6 months, not 2 months. Doing it for 6 months. If you drop it for a couple of weeks, that's fine. Get back on it and keep doing it, right? It doesn't have to be every week, every day, whatever it is. It just needs to be, you need to be consistent with it throughout a span of time. So that was my lesson through my calisthenics journey of achieving the techniques and the weights that I have throughout. Now, my fitness journey is a massive one because I've achieved muscle ups, front levers, pullovers, dragon flags, pistol squats. I've also like 2-finger front levers, done that. Weighted muscle ups, weighted pull ups. Like, I think I maxed out like only a 45-pound on the bar though. That's not as much. Weighted push ups, all those things. Ring dips, ring front levers, ring muscle ups. I've achieved a lot, and I've failed at a lot. I still can't do a one arm push. I can if I'm fresh, I can like bust out a really sloppy one-arm push-up on my right, which is the wrist that's messed up right now. But I can't do a consistent one-arm push-up, cannot do a one-arm pull-up or a chin-up, cannot do a back lever, cannot do a dragon squat. I got handstands and handstand push-ups at one point, lost them both. Yeah, so there's been a lot of failures throughout it, right? And I'm going to get back on it. Once this thing heals right here, once my wrist heals, I am literally getting back on it and breaking something else. That is the next lesson of my fitness journey, okay? I apologize. My nose is a little bit flirty. That is the next lesson in my fitness journey, is the idea of care, self-care, and safety. Because if your goal is something that causes physical harm to your body, or the potential of physical harm to your body, it is your responsibility to do whatever it takes to reduce the risk of physical harm to yourself. If you don't like hearing that, I'm sorry, but it is your responsibility. It's not anybody else's responsibility but your own. The unfortunate fact about my body is that all of my joints are, one, soft, and two, very mobile. I have very hypermobile joints. And so the issue with that has always been that when I've tried to do some certain physical things, whether it was dancing and choreography or calisthenics and training, my joints would just ache. And I went to the doctor one time for my knee because I was having knee issues while dancing. And he looked at it, he said, your knee is just hypermobile. What you need to do is build up muscle around the joint to secure the joint, to then be able to use it a little bit more freely, because it being hypermobile doesn't mean it's free, right? It just means it's just moving around a lot when you're moving, versus if you strengthen the joints around it, they help if you strengthen the muscles around the joint, they help keep the joint secure. So that was another switch that flipped in my head. I was like, oh, that's what I need to do for my body. And that's how I got into like, proper like weight. And that's where like weights come in that I've continuously neglected, is weight training. For me, was that method of gaining muscle to improve joint security. I never did it because it was so boring. So I got into like, proper like barbell squats and things like that, back squats for my knees, ankles, my hips. I have, up until this point in my life, injured or messed up every single joint on the right side of my body, and a few on my left, but very minor on my left. Mostly all of my physical issues have always been on the right side of my body. Why is that? I'm right dominant, so it's probably just because overuse of my right side. Ankles, had to wear braces for a little bit, not much else. Knees, I had a combination of those joint issues that we were talking about, along with scar tissue buildup in my knees, to where it was affecting like, my knee movement. So I had to like foam roll, or like roll those out to break up that scar tissue and make the muscles in the joints a little bit like freer and looser. Shoulder impingement through tennis. Almost got tennis elbow. My shoulder is also like a little bit mobile, so I can kind of set it out of the pocket and then pop it back in. So I was trying to do a flare one time during dance rehearsal, and my shoulder popped out and back in. So I had to put my shoulder in a strap at that point because I was just like inflamed and sore. And I mean, since that day, I have had many occasions where in rock climbing or working out that I've been doing something and my shoulder popped out and popped back in, and I just had to like rest it. And the newest addition to our right side crew is my wrist, which is overuse. And basically overuse, there's a small ligament tear at the base of my wrist because of overuse on a computer. I'm an accountant, therefore I'm on a keyboard and mouse all day, but I also like to make content, edit videos, and read and game and do all the things. My life occurs on a computer, and my wrist just couldn't take it. On top of that, I was also climbing and stuff, so my wrists were getting just a lot of heavy usage without me taking the proper steps to stretch them, focus on wrist exercises to improve mobility, and focus on forearm and finger exercises to reduce the strain on my wrist and let my fingers and forearms take more of a weight. There's a lot of things in here. And every time I get hurt, I fail. Every time I get hurt, I ruin something else in my body. And every time I ruin something else in my body, it stops me from doing what I love, and it impedes me from reaching my goals. So a big lesson and a question I want to ask you is, are you taking care of yourself? Or are you just continuously rushing at this goal that you have without taking the time to step back, take a breather, stretch, calm yourself, rehabilitate, and then go at it again? I would really recommend, would like you to entertain the possibility of not slowing down, but taking time for these breaks. If your goal is in a physical fitness form or physical fitness realm. Now, fitness is not obviously weightlifting, right? Fitness can be dance. Fitness can be climbing. Fitness can be, in the gym. It can also be running. Like, all these things that like put strain on our bodies, make sure you take care of yourself. Please. Otherwise, you're going to end up like me, with the brace on his wrist. I have not climbed since November of 2022. It is currently the end of May of 2023. I'm losing my mind because I keep going online and my guy, who I love, keeps posting climbing clips of him doing sick stuff while climbing with his friends, and I'm here looking like this because I just cannot use this wrist. I cannot put any pressure on it. Like, I cannot put pressure on it. So I would really implore you to take a step back and think about, are you taking the proper self-care methods to ensure that you are mentally, physically, and emotionally healthy to tackle your goal? Okay? Do that for me. And I think that just about wraps up the physical fitness history portion of my Who Am I? Maybe there's other lessons that I forgot. They'll probably come out in other videos. So we'll stop it there. Thank you very much for listening to me today. This was the End Goal Podcast, episode 0-4, my physical fitness successes and failures. I appreciate you listening and getting to this far. If you liked the podcast or the video, I would appreciate it if you left a comment or a review, or if you rated it wherever you're listening to it. It would really help me out. If not, feel free to leave a comment about how I can make it better. Whether it's your tone, your voice, the way you're talking, the speed at which you talk with, the topics you're talking about, anything, any feedback is welcome. I appreciate it always, because this has not come naturally to me. So any way I can get better, please let me know. As always, please think about the things I talked about today and see if you can help yourself, to see if you can apply anything that I said today to your own life, and if you can pull out any nuggets of wisdom or information in your own life that you think would help you or help us. Feel free to share it. Feel free also to share it with us. We would really appreciate that here. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll catch you guys next time.